I'm bringing sexy back. Another rise in the other back. I think it's special, it's behind your back. So turn around and I'll be right beside.
Well, welcome everybody. So first off, we want to introduce, higher, sorry. Right there. Okay, so, too high. We want to introduce our groomsmen and ushers bridal party. So first off, we're going to start with Rob and Adam, two of the best ushers ever from Horizon High School. Good friends from my high school.
And next we have my cousin James and Chris's friend from college, Jeff.
Next, we have one of my best friends from high school, Lee, and one of my best friends from college, Pete.
And one of my great friends, Jenna.
Go ahead, be gone with it. 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 Go ahead, be gone with it.
And now my cousin Hannah.
And my brother Tyler.
Woo!
I'm bringing sexy back. Watch your eye attack. If that's your girl, better watch your back. Cause you'll burn it up for me, and that's a fact. Take her to the chorus. Go ahead, be gone with it.
And now we have another one of my best friends from college, Dan.
And my childhood best friend, Emily.
Go ahead, be gone with it. 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 Go ahead, be gone with it.
Alrighty. And now, for my youngest brother, Barrett.
And my college bestie, Christine.
Alright. And now for my oldest brother, John.
And my now sister-in-law, Cassie.
So turn around and I'll be back to slide. To the bridge. Dirty babe. You see these shackles, baby, on the slave. I'll let you whip me if I misbehave. It's just that now
And last but certainly not least, we have my amazing sister officiant, Nikki.
And my best man, JD.
Go ahead, be gone with it. 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 Go ahead, be gone with it.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to our wedding. Our wedding. Pretty amazing. It's amazing that everyone's here. I look around this room and I see friends and family, people from all over the world. Can you hear me? All right. So I look around this room and I see friends and family from all over the world. And I want you all to know that you are our favorite people in the world. Like, having you here means so much. And this really is a world affair. We have people here from everywhere. From Tanzania, that flew in from Tanzania, from Australia, New Zealand, England, Canada. Yeah, England gets more emphasis. England, there we go. Let's retract that one. Canada, New York, Tennessee, California, Texas, Arizona, Maryland, and even here, there you go, even from our backyard, Colorado. It means so much to us that you all could be here. And just looking over right now at my wife. It's amazing. It's so amazing to say, Joanna Claire Prosh. So cool. Can everyone just take a second and look at her? Right as she's about to drink. So beautiful. Beautiful. Joanna, you look radiant tonight. I don't know if you all knew this, but as of a week ago, she was sick with the flu. The sickest I've ever seen her, actually. But she was determined to be here tonight. No, she was determined to make sure it didn't get her down. She was determined to make sure that it did not hurt her spirit, that she could enjoy every moment of tonight. She did everything she could, from Eastern medicine, cutting up ginger root and making ginger root tea with lemon, to Western medicine, just modern medicine. She went and got an IV. She even took a couple different shots of apple cider vinegar, which I did one with her, and it was disgusting, awful. But she's here, and she looks so beautiful and white. I want you all to take a second and look around. Everything you see here, from the decorations on your table, to the names on your table, to this venue, to the invitations you got in the mail, everything here was designed and put together by her. It's not an easy thing planning a wedding, and Joanna did a great job. So for my first cheers of the night, I want everyone to raise a glass to my now wife, Joanna Claire Prosh. All right, now Nikki. Could not have asked for a better sister and officiant. You did amazing. Multiple times throughout her speech, I started tearing up, especially when she started mentioning all the people that couldn't be here. Nikki mentioned my father, Scott Prosh. Now, for those of you that didn't get the pleasure of knowing my dad, Scott was an amazing man. He could walk into a room and just light it up, just with his presence. He was so kind, so full of joy and love. And I so wish he could have met Joanna. I wish she could have met him. They would have loved each other. So tonight, instead of giving favors out at the end of the evening, we are donating on all your behalfs to the ALS Association. So for my second cheers of the night, can everyone please raise a glass to all those that couldn't be here tonight, and to my father, Scott Prosh. Cheers. Now, Mom, Charlie, Jonathan, Cassie, Tyler, Rachel, and Barrett, wherever you are. There you go, man. Thank you guys so much for welcoming Joanna into our family. You've treated her like a sister from day one. You've been so kind and so loving, and I can't express how much that means to me. Jill, Peter, where are you guys? There you are. Thank you so much for funding this amazing event. Thank you so much for helping Joanna set it all up and putting this together. Thank you from day one, treating me like a son. Welcoming me into your lives, welcoming me into your family with open arms. You guys have been so nice and so amazing to me. Nikki, Peter, Jill, I couldn't have asked for a better family to be joining. Can't believe I'm gaining another father, mother, and sister. It's amazing. So for my final cheers of the night, can we all raise a glass to the Williams? And now for a story. Yes, it continues. For those of you that knew my father, you knew his ability to tell stories. He could talk about the smallest event and tell a 12-hour story about it. And for better or worse, blessing or a curse, I had the same gift. So when we were talking about this speech, Joanna and I, and we were discussing what story I should tell, so many came to mind. We were thinking about our first date, and how we met on Bumble, and then how we met at Bristol Brewery and had a great time. Talking about the first time I went to California and met Peter and Jill. Talking about the first time, the time, when I went golfing with Peter and asked for Joanna's hand in marriage, which he will tell you we tied that day, but he definitely kicked my butt. Or I could tell you about the time where I flew to England and proposed to Joanna in her home village, about 3 houses down from where she grew up. Though these are great stories, we realize that they're not what defines us. What defines us are millions upon millions of little moments. Like the moment she looked at me from across the brewery, we made eye contact and smiled. The moment when we're on a walk in a nice snowy day, we reach out and hold hands. The moment after a long day of work, we're sitting on the couch and just cuddling with us, watching TV with our dog and our cat. The moment before we go to bed, we kiss each other goodnight. Or the moment in the morning when she smiles and looks at me and says good morning. These are the moments, these million little moments. These are what define our relationship. But if you want to hear the details of those stories, just find me later. I'll be happy to talk your ear off. So everybody, have fun tonight, and thank you for being here.
My name is Emily, or as Jojo called me growing up, Mimi. I'm one of Jojo's best friends. Yes, you've guessed it, that was my name for her growing up. And I've been lucky enough to know Jo pretty much our entire life. I found out since we were 6 months old in immigration this year. I hope you all understand everything I say in this speech. I know I have a funny accent. Every time I say a word you don't understand, please take a sip from your drink. I'm sure it'll help you to understand what I'm saying. As with every good story, there are many chapters that make up that story. So far, there are 2 main parts to mine and Jo's friendship. The first part was our childhood. We grew up in 2 villages not far from each other. We would regularly spend time with each other at each other's families. Every school holiday, we would always spend a day at each other's houses with Nikki and my brother Alex, who sadly can't be here today. My memories include dancing around the Williams' kitchen to Shania Twain, arts and crafts on the kitchen table, looking for fairies in your garden, and walking your rabbit around on a lead, or as Americans say, a leash. My favourite memory must be the sleepovers that Jo and I used to have. Jilly would make us a midnight feast to eat in Jo's room, with the best bit being a packet of prawn cocktail crisps, or chips to you guys. They're Jo's favourite crisps, even until this day, and it's often the first thing she'll buy when she lands at London Heathrow. Anyway, Jo and I used to think we were super cool by having a midnight feast with our stuffed toys, Jo's being a bear called Arthur, and mine a rabbit called Rabby. But unfortunately, being young, we could never quite manage to stay up till midnight, and we would eat it by about 9 p.m. My parents would often have dinner at the Williamses. Nikki and Alex would share Nikki's room, and me and Jo in hers. And we used to love creeping along the hallway together at the top of the stairs, listening to their conversations and spying and finding out what they were up to. And this is pretty much how our entire childhood went. By the time we turned 11, we got accepted into the same secondary school, high school. And as our surnames both began with a W, we were placed in the same class. We were both very excited about finally being in the same school. That was until Jo phoned me to tell me she was moving to California. Thank you, Gilly and Peter. This is where the second part of our friendship begins. We suddenly went from seeing each other all the time to seeing each other once a year if we were lucky. Every time she came back to visit, we would always spend time with each other, and we became pen pals, writing letters to each other. I strongly believe that having the roots to our friendship for all those years before she left helped us to keep our friendship going strong until this day. It was always such a treat when a blue airmail letter would turn up in the post. As I got older, I was desperate to visit America to see Jo, and I first got to travel when I was 16. I flew across to San Francisco on my own and spent 10 days with the Williams in Davis. My second trip came once I'd finished school age 18. Another friend and I from school flew out to Santa Barbara to see Jo, and we then spent 3 weeks on a road trip going around California, Arizona, Nevada, before heading back to Davis and spending some time with the Williams. This was one of my favorite adventures. 3 young girls driving around America. We had a lot of fun. Getting stuck in traffic jams in the middle of the desert. Who knew they happened? Driving down Lombok Street in San Francisco. Waiting for hours every morning for our friend to get ready. And struggling to breathe from the heat in Death Valley. Our next adventure was a few years later. This time we were finally old enough to legally drink, so we had a weekend in Vegas with Nikki. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about what happened that weekend, because as you all know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Next up, we ventured around Europe. Nikki was spending a few months in Rome and Italy, and Jo and I thought it would be rude not to go and visit. We thought we would be smart, so we took the train into the city, only to discover at the other end we couldn't work out how to get to our Airbnb. We ended up getting a taxi 2 minutes down the road. We could have easily walked. We had a wonderful weekend exploring the city, Nikki taking us to her favourite restaurants, seeing the Pope, eating too much ice cream, although that was mainly me and Nikki, because Jo is far more restrained than us. And it was a fantastic time. The last trip, or one of the last trips we had together was to Marrakesh in Morocco. Jo and I stayed in a lovely riad and spent the weekend wandering the streets, visiting the sights, drinking lots of cocktails, and enjoying the street food from the night market. It was here she was telling me about her big move to Denver. She was so excited for the next chapter of her life and her new job that awaited her. It was this new chapter where she met her husband, Chris. Through WhatsApps and her visits to the UK, I heard lots about Chris. He seemed to be a pretty great guy and was making Jo very happy. I finally got to meet Chris when we came over for a ski trip to Vale. We bonded on a chairlift, listening to music and drinking whiskey. I don't actually like whiskey, but I thought it would be rude to say no. Sorry, Chris. Next time I saw Chris was on home turf. Chris and Jo were in England on holiday and were staying in the village where she grew up. I came down for the weekend from London and was very excited to spend a full day with them both. On arrival, I was greeted by not only Jo and Chris, but also by Gilly, Peter, and Nikki. It was a lovely surprise, and it was only when I went around hugging everyone, when I got to Jo and she put her hand out and showed me her beautiful engagement ring. They got engaged only moments before. We spent the day going around an English castle. We had a picnic in the grounds, and now I know why my mum gave us a bottle of champagne. It was a true honour to be able to share that special day with you both. And here we are today, 18 months later, on the wedding day of Jo and Chris. Jo, you are my bestest friend in the whole wide world. I love you both so much, and I can't wait for our next adventures, this time involving our boys, although I hope we still have some girly trips too. I wish you both all the happiness in the world. I can't think of 2 better people suited together, so please everyone raise your glasses again to the newlywed Mr. and Mrs. Bush.
All right, so strap in because none of this is going to be as articulate as the other speeches you've already heard. But so I've known Chris and the Prosh family for, I want to say 12 plus years. Chris's dad and my dad were on the same softball team before I was even born. So our families have known each other for decades. And what it means to be a part of this, I could never express in words. And it makes me so happy to be here and see the melding of cultures that I've seen and just the amazing people that are here. I want to start with something, and I was gonna go a little later, but when Chris and Joanna came and visited my family, it was pretty early on when they were dating, and Joanna immediately ingratiated herself with my kids, and they loved her. And they still are convinced you're part of Harry Potter. In some outside universe, they have no idea why, but so Aunt Joanna is part of Harry Potter in some sort of universe somewhere, but yeah. So they love you, and they love hearing you talk, and I got to see the part of Joanna that Chris fell in love with in that brief instant when she was interacting with my own children. And to me, it was the most beautiful thing, and I was so grateful to see that. And I saw that brief instance that Chris gets to see all the time that none of us get to see, and I immediately understood, and I accepted and loved you as much as he loves you, and I just couldn't be more grateful. And I know Chris's dad, Scott, would have been immensely proud of the man he's become and who he's married and how he's decided to live his life. My own father passed away within the past year, and I don't know, to be honored as best man amongst Jonathan and Tyler and Barrett. I mean, they all do great things. Jonathan, I'm just gonna say you work for the CIA because I don't know what you do for. I don't know what you do with homes. So he's a spy. So you're retired now, but Tyler has amazing glass work, and I told him this over and over again. I don't think he believes me, but I admire what he does all the time, and it's amazing artwork, and he works so hard at it. And then Barrett, like Chris, decided to do the great honor of serving his community and at a broader scope his country. And as a serviceman myself, I appreciate it, and I love that you're doing that. But to be honored as best man above that, I couldn't be more proud and overjoyed with what that means. As your friend, and seeing what's happened. Sorry, there's like bugs in here or something, but I had more I wanted to say, but I think if I do, I'm gonna start crying. But Joanna, we have something when we go off duty. The duty is passed on to you. So the duty is passed to you as Chris's best friend, and I couldn't be more happy to pass that on to you. And I love you both, and congratulations.
All right, I'm going to pass the mic over to Aunt Amy. Everybody, give it up for Aunt Amy!
Hello. Hello, Aunt Amy. Honestly, that's the normal greeting I get from Christopher when we talk on the phone. I love it. I am Aunt Amy Prosh Schober, daughter to Barbara Prosh, by the way, known as Mimi, who is here, and I have to admit that I am her favorite child. I am also daughter to Nick Prosh, also known as Papa. I was also his favorite child. Daughter to my second father, Papa Jerry. Favorite child. And sister to Chuck. Favorite sister. And Scott Prosh. And as I was their only sister, I was also their favorite. Papa Jerry and Scott are residing in heaven, but Chris, I do know they are here somewhere having a scotch and toasting with them. It's awesome. I will share with you that I'm the favorite because as I brag on Chris today, I don't want John, Tyler, and Barrett to feel that Chris is my favorite nephew because I do not play favorites because that's just not the way it works. I enjoy being the favorite. Aunt Amy. I've never lived in the same state as Christopher, and it's inhibited me from getting to know you as close and personally as I would have enjoyed. So with that in mind, I took the liberty of asking many of y'all to give me adjectives and descriptions of the man Chris is. Not surprising to you all that many of the adjectives that y'all gave me were repeated. Christopher, loyal, dependable. And I want to tell you that your father-in-law said you were dependable. That's very impressionable. Gregarious, cheerful, determined, positive, passionate, family-oriented, generous, always wanting to help. Gives every person the chance to join him on his journey through his life, hoping they will embrace. The best person I know, totally selfless, blue eyes. Chris moved to Colorado for family and friends with the dream of being a firefighter. He now has a beautiful wife, a dog, a great comfortable home, the job and the life for him. He has worked hard to be where he is. It truly couldn't have worked out any better. Chris is the true gentleman, a man whose deed follows his work, who thinks of the rights and feelings of others rather than his own, who appears well in any company, a man whom honor is sacred and virtue is safe. Chris deserves all the happiness and more, and I wish them all the best and love them very much. Chris, he dropped everything to move back to Scottsdale to move in with me and to be closer to Barrett. He never once asked for help or anything for himself. And as we were in such a dark time, he stayed so positive and helped me get through everything. And to this day, he has always had a positive point of view in every situation. I have never known a person who likes ranch dressing as much as Chris Prosh. After class, when I was in middle school, Chris would take me to the ballpark to practice baseball for hours before I would go to practice that night to make sure I was putting in the work to be the best. Same goes for lacrosse, with helping me out on my many defensive skills. He went as far as getting a house close by after Dad passed away so I could bike over and hang out after school. We built dirt jumps in the backyard so I could hang out in distress from all the craziness going on in my life. He would take me to lunch. He would pick me up after school. We would go to the movies and so much more. He sacrificed his life to make sure I had a good life. He gave up his free time and living close to his friends in Tempe to live close to me so I could be with Tyler. He would come to my lacrosse games on Friday nights when I knew he could be hanging out with his own friends. He always has been there for me. Whatever sport, hobby I was into at that time, he wanted to get involved so we could do it together. He sacrificed so much for Tyler, Jonathan, and me. Impish. Impish is an adjective that has been given to us by a family member who kicks ass at Scrabble. Impish means inclined to do slightly naughty things for fun and mischievousness. I feel confident that there are many impish stories that we can hear tonight about Christopher. Many years ago, Scott called me and said, "You've got to hear what Chris did." He said, "I got a ticket in the mail, and in the ticket was Christopher pictured running a red light." Woo! I may have gotten the hand signals wrong. I don't know. But Scott thought that was pretty funny. I want to change directions real quickly and focus on the word key. There are many ways to use the word key. The key to success, the key to the city, the key point. Tonight we're talking about the key to a happy marriage. I focus on the adjective happy because you can stay married forever and not be happy. Many of you responded to my request of giving me some good keys to being happily married. For those of you who did respond to me, I did write on some of our luggage tags that says the key to a happy marriage, and I have those written down. Some keys mentioned. Marriage is not a noun, it's a verb. Work on being a peacemaker in your marriage instead of one that causes strife. Be kind. Be able to say you're sorry. Changing the empty toilet paper roll will not cause brain damage. Be a good listener. A couple that prays together stays together. Treasure and tolerance. Marriage does not guarantee that you will be together forever. It's only paper. It takes trust, respect, commitment, understanding, friendship, and faith in your relationship to make it last. Whenever you are wrong, admit it. And as Papa Jerry used to say, when you're right, put a cork in it. You have to be able to talk about the hard stuff in the beginning. If you do this, when you have bigger issues, you have set the groundwork for communication and you can get through anything. Patience and compromise in major decisions. Always put the toilet seat down. Let the little things slide. One that was mentioned several times was not to go to bed angry, and my husband Tom is not here tonight. He said, don't go to bed angry, but please mention to everybody I've not slept in 28 years. Nice. Chris and other newly married couples, if a woman says, do what you want, don't do what you want. Stand still. Do not blink. Do not even breathe. Play dead. Have humor in your marriage. It'll take you far. Chris, we can all give you our keys to a happy marriage, and I encourage you to listen and learn from them. You have to not reinvent a wheel here. These suggestions have proven helpful for many. However, the ultimate key to success you have to find it out for yourselves. You have the opportunity to find the key to your happy marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cheer to Chris and Joanna.
Am I on? Oh, yes, I'm on. Well, good evening, everyone. You might want to get up and move over a little bit because you should see these. I've just got one or two pictures, but I think you'll like them. You should see how nervous Joe's looking over here now. Oh, my God. It's all right. Don't worry. It's fine. All right. So let me start on this side of the page. So first of all, welcome to all of you, and thank you again. I know it's been said several times, but thank you so much for coming so far. Wonderful to have so many friends from, wow, all over the world come over here. It's fantastic to see you. So thank you for that. The first thing I want to do is just let you know that some of my side of the family couldn't make it here. Joe had a video message from, I don't know, whatever, 5 or 6 of them this morning, which was absolutely lovely. And I did get one message that came through from a niece of mine in New Zealand. So I thought I'd just read that one out to you. Joe and Chris, we hope you have enjoyed a wonderful, wonderful day. I should say she's actually married with 2 young children. So we hope you've enjoyed a wonderful, wonderful day. I would have loved to see your dad walking you down the aisle, Joe. Such a special moment. I know your mum and dad are so proud of you and so pleased to be welcoming Chris to the family. Thank goodness he hasn't met the strange Kiwi cousins yet. Kiwi is New Zealand, if you didn't know. I'm sure the bridesmaids look absolutely beautiful and the groomsmen are very handsome, but no doubt the 2 of you are the deserved center of attention. You are welcome at our home at any time, and don't forget that we have some beautiful mountains too. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Lots of love to you both. We wish you every happiness. Susie and family. P.S. Whoever is reading this out, I hope you adopted a strong Kiwi accent for authenticity. And I didn't, because we've got some authentic Kiwis here and they would take the piss out of me if I tried. So, all right, so that's about it. So let me just do this here, if it works. Hold on. There we go. Hold on. No, wrong, back. Don't look at that. All right. So I'm going to say a few words about Joanna, of course. But before I do that, I'm going to say a few words about Chris. And the first thing I have to say is what a load of rubbish. That he says that he thought I kicked his butt. Was that what you said? No. What actually happened was Chris was going to ask for his, Joanna's hand in marriage on the golf course at the beginning of the round. And actually, it took him 10 holes to ask. On the 10th hole, he finally asked, and I said, yes, of course you can. So he obviously relaxed a bit. But I kid you not, even under all that pressure, we had exactly the same score at the end of the 10th. Yeah. So, as Chris demonstrated during his meticulous planning of his proposal to Joanna, he was on the phone to us all the time. I mean, literally, like 3 times a day. And when we got there, when we were actually trying to put it together, he was calling. He was so scared it might go wrong. Anyway, nothing went wrong. He did it brilliantly. So he prioritizes above all else his relationship with his family and friends, and in particular, his wife. We love that about him. Now, I feel like I should mention the Cowboys. Yeah. So any time Chris is talking about things, he'll talk about his family, Ridley the dog, Penny the cat, but always in the same breath he says something about the Cowboys. And I haven't yet figured out which order these things come in, but I know Cowboys is pretty damn high, so yeah. So he's a Dallas Cowboys fan, and he was absolutely determined that I should also be a Cowboys fan. And you know, with gifts of cowboy hats, Cowboys shirts, it's really been going remarkably well. In particular, I have discovered that not only is football actually fun to watch, particularly the Cowboys, of course, but there always seem to be a few beers involved. So I'm getting to like the Cowboys more and more. I think we're going to continue to bond over the Cowboys over the time to come. All right. So Chris is now a fully fledged firefighter paramedic. Honestly, I cannot imagine anyone I would rather arrive on the scene of an incident to pull me out of a car or a fire or whatever. Totally dependable, genuine wish to help others before himself, a very loving guy who, most important of all, thinks the world of our daughter. I could not have hoped for a better son-in-law. Welcome to the family, Chris. Now then, back to Joanna. Joanna has always been seen by others, and indeed by us, and indeed for the most part, well, let me start that again. He's been seen by others, and for the most part by us, as a very serene and calm person. No doubt most of you would have seen this in Joanna. However, this has not always been the case. When the chips are down, or she wants her own way, she can lose it. Fortunately, not very often these days. Now, you may also know that Joanna can be single-minded and very confident in certain situations. I suspect this is how she is with her young patients. When young, she was generally a quiet, slightly shy girl. Or so we thought. When she was around 8 years old, she announced that she'd got a part in the school play. She was going to be the narrator. It was quite a large part and involved her sitting on the side of the stage and letting the audience know what was happening during certain scenes of the play. As we and everyone else in the audience sat quietly, watching and listening, Joanna spoke her first words. At full volume and with total clarity, she shocked everyone in the entire place. When Jo wants to be heard, she still has a remarkably loud voice. Chris, am I right? Yes. I probably should hide that one, shouldn't I? I don't want to embarrass her. No. Joanna is someone who, for the most part, follows the rules and has been very well thought of in school and throughout her career. However, when at elementary school, we first got an insight into the slightly rebellious side of her nature. Now, Joanna's school was next to the village cricket ground. This is quite common in England. You've got an elementary school next to a cricket ground. This is cricket. For those of you who don't know, this is cricket. And that white board in the background there, we call that thing a sight screen, all right? The reason we have a sight screen is when a guy's throwing a little red ball at the bloke who's batting, it's traveling up to about 90 miles an hour. It's very important that the guy can see the ball coming towards him. As you can imagine, it is extremely important that that board is completely white. Joanna and a friend of hers decided otherwise. This is not how a sight screen should look. One of the earlier signs of Joanna's rebellious streaks. Now, Chris may have realized that Joanna is moving towards natural and organic foods. I'm sure some of your friends will have realized this as well. And I have to say that this is actually, again, not new. It was apparent at quite an early age. The first signs were out in our back garden when we discovered Jo eating soil. Then, later that year, on a beach in France, when most children were making sandcastles, you notice how, being a great dad, I always give her a little bit more of what she really likes. All right, so I could actually go on, but I think we'd better stop there. All right, so perhaps Joanna's greatest traits are her loyalty, her dependability, and ability to love. So that's love for her friends, family, and of course, her husband. As she worked through school to become an occupational therapist, she found her real passion, helping young children in need. Her love of life and love of Chris are really quite an inspiration. We could not be more proud of our daughter. We're so happy that they've found each other, and we're so looking forward to watching and being a part of their future together. Now, I believe it's traditional for me to make just one suggestion for the new couple that will help them in their lives together. So for me, the key to happiness with your spouse and with your children, presumably, can be summarized in just 2 words: love and respect. If you show love and respect to each other and to your family, you can be pretty certain to get the same in return. And with that, please join me in a toast to the bride and groom. Thank you. Right, you have that one. Cheers. Thank you.
Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy, its taste is on my mind. Girl, you got me thirsty for another cup of wine. Got a bug from you, girl, but I don't need no cure. I just stay a victim if I can for sure. All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on. Hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on. I'm hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. I'm hooked on a feeling, and I'm high on.
There you go, everybody. Brand new Mr. and Mrs. Prosh. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, I'm going to ask you to turn around and make your way towards the other side here on the big dance floor. Chris, grab your mama. Bring her out to the dance floor.
He don't die young. You'll probably just ride away.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars or drive their own trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such.
Chris and Cynthia would like for you to get out there and join them on the dance floor, so grab someone special. Let's go. Nice, Joanna.
They never stay home and they're always alone, even with someone they love.
Cowboys like smoky old pool rooms and clear mountain mornings.
Little warm puppies and children and girls of the night. Them that don't know him won't like him, and them that do sometimes won't know how to take it.
He ain't wrong, he's just different, but his pride won't let him do things to make you think he's right.
Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. 'Cause they never stay home and they're always alone, even with someone they love.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Chris and Cynthia. Appreciate you. Mr. Peter Williams, it is your turn. Grab your daughter, Joanna. Bring her out to the dance floor, sir.
Moving on the floor now, babe, you're a bird of paradise. Cherry ice cream smile, I suppose it's very nice. With a step to your left and a flick to the right, you catch the mirror way out west. You know you're something special and you look like you're the best. Her name is Rio and she dances on the sand, just like that river twisting through the dusty land. And when she shines, she really shows you all she can. Oh, Rio, Rio,
Yes, get out there, everybody. Go join them. Let's have a great time tonight.
I've seen you on the beach, and I've seen you on TV. To all the billion stars, it means so much to me, like a birthday or a pretty view. But then I'm sure that you know it's just for you. Her name is Rio and she dances on the sand, just like that river twisting through a dusty land. And when she shines, she really shows you all she can. Oh, Rio, Rio, dance across the Rio Grande.
Need a chainsaw.